Zendaya better be so glad she got that no nudity clause in her contract, because I'm convinced Sam Levinson would be up her coochie with a colonoscopy camera if he could. To be transparent, episode 4 didn't really do it for me. I found myself with not that much to say, so this video is going to be a combination of episodes 4 and 5, as well as a little bit of character analysis. Episodes 4 and 5 saw Cassie move out of her house with Nate and into an apartment of her own in order to focus on her career, a decision that would put her further at odds in her relationships with Nate, Maddy, and Lexi. But what it really does is highlight Sam Levinson's absolute obsession with Sydney Sweeney. Like, it's actually a problem. That whole 15-minute chunk at the beginning of episode 5 was so deeply unnecessary, and the fact that he really said that they spent a year building that set just so that y'all could do that, it was literally just us sitting there indulging his personal fantasies. When she was doing that part of the montage, when she was saying men's names, when she was doing the personalized videos, I thought for sure we was gonna hear a Sam in there. Like, I was like, his freaked out stuff, he can't resist putting his name in there. He did, but we don't know. I mean, we don't know what was cut. We don't know what was filmed. It reminded me of that Quentin Tarantino movie where, like, apparently him and Salma Hayek were at odds, and then he writes in a scene where she has to, like, put her foot in a guy's mouth and then cast himself as the guy. Like, we're literally one step removed from that at this point. I can't really get a read on Sydney Sweeney. Like, are you truly okay with it? Like, maybe she likes it. Maybe she feels like this attention that she's getting from him is a good thing, or it all comes out in the wash because her career blew up. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like, this is actually worrisome and just, it's so strange. The Cassiezilla sequence underscored some aspects of her character that have been present since the beginning, namely her selfishness, because Cassie has always been a pick-me. She's always been the type of woman that prioritizes her own interests, particularly over those of her fellow women, while ingratiating herself to men who she wants to feel desired by. And we see this in her immediate willingness to cut Maddy off. I mean, she folded like that so soon after they quote-unquote reconciled their friendship. And we also see this in how she treated Lexi and how she behaved at her job. And I saw some people say like they didn't know why Lexi was so like upset about that, besides the fact that they completely laid out why Lexi would be upset about something like that in season 2 in the play. Also, like, Lexi's like a PA. Like, I understand lots of nepotism and stuff goes on in Hollywood. I think it's kind of ironic that Maude Apatow was the person to, you know, be on the other end of this issue, but she did not have the standing at her job to do something like that. And Cassie definitely could have put her job in jeopardy by revealing their relationship and the fact that Lexi helped get her name on the list. But one thing I do want to say about Lexi is that I think it's time for her to move on. When they had that scene where everybody was together except for Jules in the apartment courtyard, and the way she was looking at them and all the decisions that they were making, and like, she was just so disgusted by it, which, girl, fair, but I was just like, what is she still doing in this group? Honestly, like, yeah, Cassie's your sister, we know you guys, you have your differences, I know Rue used to be your best friend, but like, I'm not saying don't stay in touch. You can stay in touch, but I was just like, girl, nothing about what they got going on aligns with you. It's time for you to branch out and find some like-minded individuals at this point. But going back to Cassie, despite her disregard for Maddy and Lexi, she's still sending Nate money, playing the role of the dutiful wife, although there are some things that have hinted on just how long she's going to keep carrying around Nate's dead weight, although that weight is getting lighter and lighter by the episode. I personally don't think she's going to abandon Nate though, in part because Naz made it clear that if Nate don't pay up that money, the debt will be transferred to Cassie. Speaking of Nate, I've observed a shift in how audiences are talking about his character arc this season. Initially, we were all on one accord regarding his seemingly lobotomized state and just utterly confused as to what happened to the just unhinged character that we knew and hated from seasons 1 and 2. But now I've been seeing some people say that his character arc in season 3 does make sense, because the hyper masculine image and behavior that he was engaging in the previous seasons was only made possible by the safety net of his family that he had to fall back on. And every time that he was confronted with some meaningful pushback, like from Jules and most notably from Fez, that he completely crumbled and backed down immediately. And I'm sorry, while, yeah, Nate Jacobs is a bitch, I just don't think that the character arc makes sense anyway, because this new Nate was a thing far before we knew about the debt and we knew how serious it was, and before he was getting appendages chopped off left and right. Nate was introduced to us as a volatile, misogynistic abuser, and now he lets Cassie, of all people, push him around. He seems really concerned with making her happy and keeping her happy, and is even like really receptive to her moments of abrasiveness and even threats. Like, she seems like she very much wears the pants in this relationship, and that is just like not what we've seen of Nate. He's always been like hyper masculine, and like it just doesn't make sense. The dynamic that he has with Cassie this season is totally antithetical to all the reasons we were told that Cassie appealed to him in the first place. Additionally, we haven't seen much of his relationship with his dad this season, but they do have a conversation in the first couple of episodes where Nate very calmly assesses his dad's past behavior as a result of repressing his sexuality. And I feel like that moment, it demonstrates a far more well-adjusted Nate Jacobs than we have reason to believe that he is. Not to mention that Nate has had his own issues with navigating sexuality and masculinity, a storyline which has been completely abandoned so far, with the exception of him having that cryptic line to Jules at his wedding. And I'm not saying that Nate could not have matured in the 5 years that have passed since the ending of season 2. I'm just saying that the difference between these two characters, it must be explained in the plot. It cannot go unaddressed because it's just far too wide. That being said, my hope for his character development being explained is dwindling as we get closer to the finale, and his only purpose this season seems to be getting chopped up. I mean, this last episode, they could not have walked in on him at a worse moment. Imagine somebody owes you $1 million. $1 million, and they missed their last payment, and when you roll up on them, they got a drink in their hand and they're dancing around their mansion. I mean, and he's so unprepared for this. Like, somebody just cut your toe off. I understand, like, some people were like, why didn't he buy a gun, whatever. I understand that might complicate things, you know, because he kills one of the goons, now they send 7 of them next time. Like, it could complicate things. However, like, just the sense of urgency is not there as much as one would think. Now, a duo that I'm really intrigued by, but also kind of nervous about, is Maddy and Alamo. A lot of people are saying that this collaboration between them is a way to draw parallels between their respective roles in sex work, but I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that comparison, because while Maddy has said multiple times that she is not beholden to the moral code that someone might expect or assume that she is as a young person and a woman, I think she is completely out of her depth with Alamo. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, she's so clever, she's gonna be fine, she's a smart girl. You're like, yes, Maddy is a smart girl. Alamo is fucking nuts. He is not sane. He is unpredictable. That pants scene was crazy. I don't know if a lot of people clocked the fact that he was talking to himself in the mirror. Like, once he went off on that guy and when he looked in the mirror, he was talking to himself, and he's driven by with and some massive insecurity that I'm really, really hoping that we get a reveal for in the next episode. And I'm wondering if it has anything to do with what was in that safe, because that was very cryptic. What he told Rue was like something that was in that safe was like really, really either important or possibly detrimental to him in some way, and that might tie into why he's so obsessed with like his status. Like, we've seen peaks of it, like when he got caught a pig, and now when his pants were too small, and there was another instance where he would like thought someone was making fun of him or something like that, and he just went totally off. Like, there's something off about that man. And it's hinted in the episode 6 preview that their partnership is tested by this difference in morality when Maddy suggests giving the girls a break, and he's not really going for that. My hope is that this partnership ends with Maddy safe and not compromising her morality too much. I mean, we saw what happened to Kitty in that private room. There's no protection for these girls, no real concern for their well-being. And Alamo doesn't just allow horrific practices to occur in his business. He is actively sadistic in wanting to carry them out. I'm talking specifically about the way that he goes about disciplining people or testing them. The fact that he gamifies violence with, the apple that he put on Rue's head, and now the cliffhanger that we got on this last episode where he's making a game out of playing with someone else's life. Like, that is to me a totally different level, and I don't really think Maddy is cut out for that. In fact, she herself has been on the other side of that when Nate came into her house with a gun and played Russian roulette. Both time Alamo plays these sick games are with Rue and their games of chance, and it really makes you wonder when her luck is going to run out. Rue has been like a mouse caught in multiple traps. Like, life is coming at her from all different directions. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that incredibly cringe conversation she had with Jules because it genuinely irked me to my soul. But let's talk about it a little bit. Jules is beginning to reach Cassie levels of irritation for me, and that is saying a lot. I feel like they both have this particular brand of desperation that I find really just repulsive and hard to look at, and that is why, like, Cassie is still at the top of my, like, girl, you on my nerves list, but Jules, oh, she right there. She's getting to the point with me where, like, just little things about her are starting to get on my nerves. Like, okay, in this scene when she's eating, I thought it was like her voice was starting to sound annoying to me. Like, and when someone's getting on your nerves so bad that it's past that. You picking out stuff you ain't never said or thought before. And that's how I felt about Jules in this scene. Now, I did see online that what I might have been noticing was her fake eating. A lot of people have been talking about like the way her mouth moved. So that's very possibly like what I was noticing in that scene, but I was just irritated all around. And I feel like her tense encounter with her sugar daddy is only going to make things worse in terms of how Jules behaves, because he essentially tapped into one of her deepest insecurities when he essentially confirmed that, like, hey girl, you're cool, but I would drop you in a hot second for the people that I actually love. And for somebody who was so desperately in need of love and desire like Jules, I know that just cut her really, really deep. And I feel like it's going to drive her further into the arms of the last person that probably she felt really loved her, which was Rue. And Rue has enough going on right now. Alamo is obviously suspicious of her. We have Magic talking in his ear, stoking that suspicion as well. And he seems to be like a pretty paranoid guy anyway, especially due to some, I'll say, sloppy work on behalf of Rue and the DEA. The fact that Rue didn't identify those attackers, I was thinking in my head, why didn't she say anything as soon as they left? And that ended up coming to bite her in the ass. I also think it could be that she was just in shock, like maybe she just needed a second, but I don't know. It could go either way. I also found it really surprising that when she was compromised by Magic and the DEA called her, that they immediately, when she picked up the phone, said, "You're compromised." That girl in there said da 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 da. What if they already knew that they were suspicious of Rue? What if they had to ask her to answer on speakerphone? Then what? She'd have been dead in a ditch. I'm also really, really hoping that they advise her to delete her call history after she called both Lori and Lori's assistant. I don't know who he is, because the fact that Bishop has her phone could turn out to be very, very terrible for her. Side note, Bishop is another character that I am dying to know more about. Like, I have to know what his backstory is. I feel like they've been ramping up his involvement, and episode 6 seems like a good time for us to get into that. Like, if we go this episode without revealing more about his past, like, it's gonna start to get to that point where it's irritating me a little bit. I can't lie. Another thing on Rue's laundry list of things to be worried about is her addiction, which hasn't really played a big part in this season so far. But we know that she's not sober. She said so. We've seen her partake in a little this and that. But yeah, she pretty much said as much as a narrator. And I think, for someone who has used drugs as heavily as Rue has, I have to believe that there could be some sort of like functional drug use in there, but I'm kind of confused about where she stands, especially because Alamo kind of goes off on her when he thinks that she's using again, which tells us that for him it may be some sort of rule, or he cares that she does not use, like maybe she's not allowed to, or that she told him that she wasn't, which I don't really see why she would need to keep from him that she was, as long as her job was getting done. A bunch of people be in there doing drugs. So as big of a part her addiction has played in past seasons, it doesn't really seem to be that present in this season, which I think is a little bit odd. Because while we know Rue is most comfortable when she is indulging in those activities, it's not without consequences, it's not without struggle. She still gets like high to the point where she's not functioning very well. She still gets sad and depressed and is incapacitated by these feelings somehow. And there's no way she's clean, because we've seen what it looks like when Rue goes through withdrawal. Like, there's no way she's clean. So I find the fact that that's been on the back burner a little strange, and I'm wondering what, if anything, they're going to do with it. Now, of course, the thing that everybody is talking about is Rue dead? Initially, when I saw the ending of episode 5, I was like, you know what, it's going to be fine. They're not going to kill Rue off. Like, they didn't put her in the preview for episode 6, although there was a clip in the preview that I felt like could only be, like, addressing Rue. I don't remember what the clip was, but I was like, I feel like she's on the other side of that conversation. But, you know, they could have duped me. One of the reasons people think that Rue might be dead is the fact that Nika King, the woman that plays Leslie, Rue's mother, is credited in episode 6. So we will see her in episode 6. People are thinking that perhaps she might be coming to Rue's funeral. That might be something that's going to happen in the next episode. I don't remember if Coleman Domingo is credited in episode 6, because some people were speculating that he might be the one to eulogize Rue. We have no idea. Now, it wouldn't be unheard of. I am a massive Succession fan, and imagine my surprise, spoiler alert, when they killed off Logan in the 3rd episode. Was it? I think it was the 3rd episode. And like, sure, they had lots of other main characters that were more substantial than the other characters that surround Rue. They were more substantial in Succession, and so like, while it was a massive loss for the cast, it wasn't as much of a gaping hole, I feel like, as it would be in Euphoria if Rue was gone. However, Euphoria season 3 seems to be the Cassie show, so I mean, I don't know. That being said, I really, really hope that Rue survives this. For episode 6, that's what I wish. I wish for us to see Rue okay. I wish for us to learn more about Bishop. I want to see more of Maddy. Everybody wants to see more of Maddy, including those outfits, because can I just say, they have been killing it with Maddy this season. And that's about it. I'm trying to keep my wish list simple, because Euphoria, you just really never know. Let me know what you thought about episodes 4 and 5 in the comments. Let me know your predictions for episode 6. Do you think that Rue is alive? Do you think that Maddy and Alamo's partnership is going to turn out well? Do you think it's going to be disastrous? What do you think that Alamo's secret is? What was in that safe that he don't want nobody to see so bad? I have my theories. When he was talking to that horse, I know that's how people talk to horses, but I'm not gonna lie, I thought he was doing a horse. I was like, maybe, I'm just speculating, like, what could be the secret? That would be crazy. That would be something he maybe wouldn't want getting out. But also, why would he keep evidence of that at the strip club and not in his house? I don't know. So let me know what you think Alamo's secret is. Let me wrap this up. That's all I have for this video. Here are my social media handles. You can follow me there if you'd like, including on my main channel where I post video essays through a historical lens. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell icon so that you get a notification every time I get off my butt and post a video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.